You wouldn't knowingly feed your grandchildren antibiotics every week, would you? Yet if you're serving them farmed fish, that may be closer to reality than you think. Investigations and lab tests show that some aquaculture operations lean on medication regimens so aggressive that traces can persist in the flesh by the time it reaches your plate. For seniors and children whose systems are more vulnerable, this isn't a theoretical worry. In this video, you'll learn the 6 fish to avoid, why residues matter more after 60, and 6 cleaner choices your family can enjoy with confidence. Think back to your last family dinner. Was fish on the menu? Then this matters now. Let's begin with your body after 60. The liver and kidneys, your built-in detox team, don't work at 20-year-old speed. Liver enzyme activity that processes drugs and environmental chemicals naturally declines, and renal filtration slows with age. Substances a younger adult clears in hours can linger longer, producing effects you feel days later. If your weekly menu includes fish raised with antibiotics, antifungals, or other veterinary drugs, your system may face a low-grade exposure it didn't sign up for. There's another layer here: medication interactions. Many older adults take regular prescriptions: blood pressure drugs, statins, anticoagulants, diabetes medications. Even small repeated exposures to antibiotic residues can nudge your microbiome, alter how certain drugs are metabolized, or contribute to antimicrobial resistance. None of this means you must fear seafood. It means you should know what you're buying and choose options that align with a body that's earned some extra care. Now, why are medications used in fish farming at all? Farmed fish are living animals in crowded systems. High density, warm water, and stress create opportunities for disease to spread fast. Without interventions, an outbreak can wipe out a crop. So some producers rely on antibiotics to control bacterial disease, antifungals to keep spores in check, and various chemotherapeutics to manage parasites. Good operators use targeted treatments sparingly and invest in cleaner systems. Others, especially where oversight is weak, fall back on routine dosing that leaves traces behind. The gap between those two realities is what lands on your plate. Regulation also varies widely. Some countries set strict limits and test products before export. Others have rules on paper but inconsistent enforcement on the ground. Labels often don't tell you which practices were used on the fish in your cart. 2 fillets with the same name can come from very different realities. That information gap is why a simple, conservative rule of thumb, choose wild when you can, and choose small, serves seniors so well. Let's walk through 6 farmed species that repeatedly surface in reports as higher risk categories. These aren't moral judgments about a fish. They're signposts to help you reduce avoidable exposure while still enjoying seafood. First, farmed salmon. Salmon aquaculture is huge and not monolithic. Some farms vaccinate fish, control stocking density, and reduce drug use. Others rely heavily on antibiotics to fight bacterial infections and on chemotherapeutics to battle sea lice. Synthetic astaxanthin is typically added to feed to tint flesh pink. Wild salmon get their color from a natural krill-rich diet. Sampling studies have detected residues of oxytetracycline, fluorphenicol, and similar drugs in some farmed salmon lots. For older adults, routine exposure to antibiotic traces isn't just academic. It can feed resistance and potentially blunt the effectiveness of antibiotics when you truly need them. Second, farmed tilapia. Tilapia's mild flavor and low price make it a weeknight staple, but that price tag often reflects intensive production. In regions with looser oversight, investigators have documented routine antibiotic use and poor water quality. Some tests have found sulfonamides and quinolones in samples. Nutritionally, farmed tilapia can also skew toward a higher omega-6 to omega-3 ratio than wild fish, putting the profile on the more inflammatory side. That doesn't make tilapia bad, but it does mean source and farming method matter much more than the label suggests. Third, farmed catfish. In tightly regulated markets, domestic production may follow strict protocols. but imported catfish have raised recurring red flags, including the detection of prohibited drugs like chloramphenicol in some shipments. Chloramphenicol is banned in food animals in many countries because of links to rare but serious blood disorders. For seniors with existing hematologic or immune concerns, that's a risk you don't need to take, especially if origin is unclear on the label. Fourth, farmed Pangasius, often labeled Basa or Swai. It's marketed as an affordable, neutral-tasting option perfect for families. Most production is concentrated in a handful of river systems where oversight can be patchy. Independent lab tests and documentary reports have found veterinary drug use and, at times, residues of malachite green, a fungicide with carcinogenic potential. Even when detected at low levels, the principle for aging bodies remains. Shrink exposures you can control, starting with what's on your plate. Fifth, farmed sea bass and sea bream. These Mediterranean favorites carry a healthy reputation, and with careful sourcing, they can be. But intensive warm water aquaculture invites bacterial disease pressure. Research has documented oxytetracycline and amoxicillin use at some sites, with residue levels varying by farm and country. Labels rarely disclose treatment history, leaving you in the dark. When in doubt, favor wild-caught alternatives or buy from a fishmonger who will talk transparently about the source. Sixth, farmed shrimp. Technically not fish, but essential to this list. Shrimp are delicate in crowded ponds and highly susceptible to bacterial and viral disease. Some operations deploy tetracyclines, sulfonamides, and other medications, including substances banned in food production in certain jurisdictions. Repeated testing has found residues in imported shrimp. If you're already managing allergies or sensitive airways, additives used to preserve texture or color may add extra irritation to the mix. Now, the part that matters most, solutions. You don't need to give up seafood. You need to upgrade your choices. Here are 6 options that maximize nutrition while minimizing residue risk. Number 1. Wild-caught Alaskan salmon. Alaskan fisheries are tightly managed and don't use antibiotics. These fish live wild, eat wild, and get their orange-pink color from natural astaxanthin. Wild salmon delivers robust omega-3s, vitamin D, and selenium with a favorable contaminant profile. For older adults, those omega-3s support heart rhythm, blood vessel flexibility, cognitive function, and joint comfort. Number 2. Wild-caught Pacific sardines. Small, short-lived fish accumulate fewer contaminants. Sardines pack omega-3s, vitamin D, calcium, and B12, all nutrients that matter more with age. Because they're wild, antibiotic residues aren't a concern. Canned sardines are shelf-stable and budget-friendly. If sodium is on your radar, choose no salt-added options or give them a quick rinse. Number 3. Wild-caught mackerel, Atlantic or Pacific species. These smaller mackerel are concentrated omega-3 powerhouses and generally low in mercury. Avoid king mackerel, which is larger and tends to carry more mercury. For seniors improving cardiovascular health, mackerel is a potent, affordable staple that turns simple meals into anti-inflammatory fuel. Number 4. Wild-caught cod. Lean, mild, high in protein and selenium, cod suits those who prefer subtler flavors. Properly managed northern fisheries supply clean product, and because cod are wild-caught, medication residues aren't part of the picture. Bake, poach, or steam to keep it heart-healthy. Add olive oil and herbs for flavor without frying. Number 5. Wild-caught trout from pristine waters. Some trout are farmed under strict standards, but where wild options are available, you'll get omega-3s, B vitamins, and minerals with a delicate taste many fish-shy eaters enjoy. Verify the source and water quality through your fishmonger or trusted retailer. Number 6. Wild-caught herring. Another small, oily fish rich in omega-3s, vitamin D, selenium, and especially vitamin B12, a nutrient that becomes harder to absorb with age. Fresh or frozen fillets beat heavily salted versions if you're watching blood pressure. Herring is also widely affordable, making it a smart weekly regular. Buying with confidence starts at the label. Wild caught or wild should appear clearly if the fish lived free. Phrases like farm-raised, aquaculture, or product of, followed by certain countries, often signal farming. Use that as your cue to dig deeper. Seek credible certifications that audit sustainability and traceability. They're not perfect, but they beat marketing fluff by a mile. Ask questions. Good fish counters know their sources and will answer directly. Where was this caught? Is it wild or farmed? What gear was used? Are there lab tests or certifications for this batch? If the answers are vague, move on. Your health deserves transparency. Frozen is your friend. High-quality wild fish is often flash frozen at sea within hours of the catch, preserving texture and nutrients. It's typically cheaper than fresh and lets you portion intelligently. For seniors cooking for one or two, that's the easiest path to consistent, waste-free seafood meals. If budget is tight, work smarter. Choose canned wild salmon, sardines, or herring for top-tier nutrition at a low cost. Buy whole fish when practical and ask to have it cleaned. You'll pay less per pound and can use bones for mineral-rich broth. Shop sales, stock the freezer, and plan 2 seafood nights per week to build a steady habit without sticker shock. Let's clear up cooking myths. Grilling, broiling, and baking on a rack allow fat to drip away, trimming exposure to certain fat-soluble contaminants. Removing skin and belly fat can help too. But no cooking method burns off antibiotics embedded in muscle tissue. If you want to avoid residues, the solution is upstream. Choose fish that weren't raised with them. Mercury matters, but it's manageable. The biggest accumulators are large, older predators like swordfish, shark, and some tuna. The alternatives in this video, sardines, herring, wild salmon, smaller mackerel, trout, and cod, are generally low to moderate in mercury, making them better regulars for older adults. When in doubt, rotate species and keep portions reasonable. What about organic farmed fish? Organic standards usually restrict antibiotics and specify higher quality feeds. If you must buy farmed, credible organic certification is a step in the right direction. Even so, density-related disease pressure can persist, and omega-3 profiles often differ from wild fish eating natural diets. Think of organic farmed as an upgrade within farmed, not a perfect substitute for wild. Can rinsing or soaking fish remove drug residues? No. When residues are present, they're inside the muscle. Rinsing, marinating, or cooking won't erase them. That's why selection, not kitchen technique, is the real safety lever. How often should you eat seafood? For most older adults, 2 to 3 seafood meals per week fit beautifully into heart-healthy patterns. Prioritize oily fish at least once a week for omega-3s, and rotate species to diversify nutrients. If you're on blood thinners, have kidney disease, or manage complex meds, loop in your clinician for tailored advice. If you've eaten farmed fish for years, don't panic. Unlike heavy metals, many veterinary drugs don't accumulate indefinitely. Your body is adaptive. Shifting to cleaner species now lowers exposure immediately. Combine that with fiber-rich plants, hydration, and daily movement to support natural elimination pathways. Let's talk labels one more time because this is where most shoppers get tripped up. Atlantic salmon on a package usually means farmed unless it explicitly says wild caught. Norwegian salmon and similar country labels refer to origin, not wild status. For shrimp, terms like prepared, value added, or unusually bright color can hint at additives. Read the ingredient list, not just the front sticker. For tilapia, look for country of origin and third-party audits. If you can't confirm standards, choose a different species. If a deal looks far cheaper than the rest of the case, ask why. It may be farmed product from a lower standard source. Dining out? Ask the server whether the fish is wild or farmed and where it's from. Restaurants that buy high-quality seafood usually know and are proud to tell you. If the answer is, "I'm not sure," Pick a dish with a known low-risk species, grilled sardines, wild salmon when in season, or a cod entree listed with a specific fishery. A quick word on sustainability. Choosing small, fast-growing fish isn't just good for your health, it's good for the oceans. Sardines, herring, and many mackerel stocks are managed to rebuild quickly, while selective gear reduces bycatch. When your choice supports ecosystems, it supports your long-term food security too. The aquaculture industry is evolving. Some farms are lowering stocking densities, adopting recirculating systems, improving vaccines, and investing in better feeds to cut drug use. That progress deserves credit, but change is uneven, and transparency still lags. Until labels consistently convey treatment history and audit results, the conservative play for seniors remains the same. Prefer wild, prefer small, and demand clarity. Here's a simple weekly game plan you can start today. Pick 2 seafood nights. Week 1, wild salmon on Monday, sardines on Friday. Week 2, mackerel on Tuesday, cod on Saturday. Week 3, trout on Wednesday, herring on Sunday. Repeat. Use frozen fillets for convenience, canned options for budget, and olive oil, lemon, garlic, and herbs for flavor. Rotate sides, leafy greens, beans, roasted vegetables, to keep sodium in check and fiber high. If you're watching blood pressure, skip heavy sauces and salty smoked fish. Choose fresh or frozen fillets, season with citrus and herbs, and use salt-free spice blends. If you're managing diabetes, pair fish with high-fiber sides like lentils or quinoa to keep blood sugar steady. If you're building muscle after a setback, lean fish like cod and trout deliver protein without excess calories. Let's also speak to caregivers. If you cook for older parents or for grandkids, your choices shape their health. Keep one shelf of the pantry stocked with canned wild salmon and sardines, and one freezer drawer with wild fillets. That small bit of prep turns what's for dinner into an easy, healthy habit that doesn't depend on last-minute shopping. Remember, fear isn't the goal. Clarity is. Seafood can be one of the most nourishing foods you eat if you choose wisely. Avoid these farmed-first categories when possible. Salmon, tilapia, catfish, pangasius, basa, swai, sea bass, sea bream, and shrimp. Reach instead for wild Alaskan salmon, sardines, smaller mackerel, cod, trout, and herring. Read labels, check origins, go frozen, and rotate species. That blueprint lets you enjoy seafood's benefits while protecting the body that's carried you this far. On your next grocery trip, pause at the seafood case. Will you pick the lowest sticker price and hope for the best, or use your knowledge to invest in cleaner, smarter choices? Share this video with someone who serves fish to kids or older relatives. Many people simply don't know. And tell me in the comments, which of the 6 to avoid surprised you? Which cleaner option are you trying first? Aging well isn't about surrendering foods you love, it's about upgrading them. With a few habit shifts and sharper label reading, you can keep fish on the menu, rich in omega-3s, low in unwanted extras, and perfectly aligned with the life you want to enjoy for years to come. Disclaimer: this content is educational and not a substitute for personalized medical advice. Talk with your healthcare provider about seafood choices that fit your medications, kidney and liver function, and overall health plan.